the Bible is the Leviathan. It's in Psalms, Job, and Isaiah. Psalms goes into a lot of detail. In your opinions, do y'all consider him, it's an unknown sea creature, do y'all consider that monster, whatever, a myth, or was it an actual living being in the sea, and is it still out there? Everywhere you read, it's different, especially the footnotes.
Yeah. What is Leviathan? There you go.
There you go. And it's not a whale.
It's not a whale.
Because it has scales and breathes fire.
We do know, and if either you guys know a little more about this, add in. We do know that in some other ancient cultures around Israel that there was that Leviathan was a part of their mythology. And so people will say, well, that's just the Israelites having a similar type of mythology as the cultures around them. And that may be true to some point, but I don't think that necessarily means it wasn't a real creature and then a myth grew up around the creature. And so it may have been, because we know there are some humongous, terrifying things in the ocean that we know of today. You know, who knows what was around 6,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago that we don't know about. And so I think it's possible that that Leviathan was actually referring to a real creature that they had knowledge of, and then it kind of got this mythology that grew up around it. And so whether or not it's around today, just in the deep, dark depths of the ocean, I don't know, probably not. I mean, there's a lot of things that have gone extinct. I don't know why they couldn't have.
Well, when it was mentioned in the Bible, 3 specific different times.
Yeah.
But Psalms really goes into the detail of this.
So does Job, and I tend to believe. I don't know.
I mean, Job does.
I think it was a creature. See, I think in today's world, when people will take this is a segue, but I'll get back to it. Talk about Noah's flood, right? And they'll go, well, a lot of cultures had stories of a great flood, so they'll use that to try to discount the biblical narrative of a flood, saying, well, so it must be false because it was everywhere. To me, I'm like, well, no, I think the other side of that is that the fact that all these other cultures talk about it probably indicates that something happened.
Especially when they didn't talk to each other.
Right. They didn't have the interweb.
Gilgamesh in the Bible, that would be one thing. When it's Gilgamesh, the Bible, the Vikings, the Incas.
Right. And so Leviathan, and I'm going to use this term, and I'm not trying to be fairyland here, but so dragons, because that's what it sounds like to me, they're all over the place. They were in China. Well, Israelites didn't know nothing about Chinese culture or anything, but these creatures are worldwide. On an anthropological level, I think there was a creature that existed. I don't know the symbolism around it. Like, did he breathe fire? Did he not? I don't know. I believe it was a scaly reptilic creature that could kill you, and people were afraid of it. And I think that they were everywhere. On a theological level, it goes much deeper if you say, well, that's just a symbol. Because in Job, it's that very symbol that God uses to say, Job, do you know who I am? Were you there when I told the waters to stop? Were you there when I told Leviathan to stop? Were you there? Well, if Leviathan's a made-up creature, what's God talking about? Right. And then what are we saying about God if we say, well, that's just not real? Then you go, well, okay, is the book of Job real? Did this guy really exist? Well, does demons exist? Because that's in Job too. I mean, you can domino effect this into other things. It's the same thing with the creation story when people ask me about evolution versus creationism. And some go theistic evolution, saying if God chose to use that, whatever. I can't get all into that. I'm not smart enough. I'm not a biologist. What I do know, though, is from a theological perspective to say that we are created in the image of God, and then to say, well, but evolution, that there's a problem there. There's a misconnection there theologically. And I find that same misconnection when you go to things like Leviathan, that though they may not be around now, we're quick to say, and I'm not saying he was saying this, I'm saying the world is quick to say, well, those creatures didn't exist. It was mythology. There might have been mythology grow out of these creatures. There might have been, like flying and blowing fire like a flamethrower. I have no idea. But I do believe it existed because I believe there's some very deep theological connotations to it when you're reading the book of Job, and God is specifically using that creature in reference to his power. And so I think we gotta take those things serious.
When
That's my 2 cents, it might not
I
be.
agree.
When these are events, they're described, I mean, I think there's really something there. Sometimes the Bible does appeal to other groups' mythology, and in every example I can think of, it's always an illustration of God and His truth and His judgment and His triumph over that. And so, I'm not sure if I remember every reference to Leviathan, but at least one that comes to mind sounds like an event to me, right? Does that sound right to you?
Yeah. Like in Job?
Yeah.
It went pretty good in depth in Job.
Okay, I mean, we take it as a historical document among other things, and I think it was probably present. What it was, hard to say. It seems when the Israelites were terrified of things, they got very creative in their description of it. But there was something that lots of cultures are seeing, and I don't think you can discount that.
Well, and in Job, he's saying, hey, look at the horse, look
Yeah.
at the strength of its legs, look at this animal, look at this animal, and look at Leviathan. So
Yeah.
this list of other things, other creatures that we know are real
Yeah.
creatures, he just throws in this non-existent mythological thing that, no,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right, it was thrown in there because Job would have known what he was talking about. He would have had knowledge of it as a real creature.